YouTubers and weavers, starting a new project again. It's kind of a regular occurrence, but this project I'm going to be making a couple of shawls, and I will be using the Lunatic Fringe 10-2 mercerized cotton for the project. Now, this project is going to be using all black as the warp and probably white as the weft. I'm going to aim the camera down a little bit. I am still measuring warp for this project. It'll probably be hard for you to see simply because it's black, and even though I've got every light I can steal in the living room and moved over here into this corner, it is a dark corner. So let's set this cone down on the floor by my warping board, and I will start doing a little bit of measuring. Let's aim you down. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this on my warping board here, but I've got a bright green piece of yarn to give myself a path of where I want to go here so I can measure out the distance that I want. In this case, it's about 4 yards plus about 2 feet. So somebody that's got a calculator can figure that out in inches. So we're just going to go like this, put a quick cross in at the top, go back, do this a few more times. So this project requires 618 ends, and I will be doing this at 24 ends per inch. So I've got a lot of time doing this. It would be better if I had 2 cones of this thread, but unfortunately I only have one. It's a 1 yard cone, so it goes a little bit slower. I don't feel like winding the thread off onto some other device and then using it, although that might be a good idea. I'll consider doing that. But anyways, there you go. That's my winding process, just the teeniest little bit of it, and there's no point in boring you to death watching the rest of it. So enough for now. I'll get some more wound on and show you probably putting it onto the back of the loom next. Hey gang, so you can tell I've changed shirts. It's the next day from the last little bit of video that I did. So, but I'm still winding this black warp, and I've got 2 inches worth on here. You can see two chunks of it, 24 threads in each of those. I prefer to wind smaller batches rather than huge quantities. That's just me, but there you go. Now I'm going to put a few choke chains, just little pieces of yarn, to hold the cross in place while I get ready to transfer this over to the loom. And we'll walk you through this part of it. Okay. So next I'm going to have to, there, so I've got, I tie my little choke pieces once at the very tip of the warp, once at the cross. I don't know if I can aim the camera up just a little bit and in. So there's the tip of it. There's the cross, and it comes off, and I like to tie a couple extra ones right here, about 6 or 8 inches away from there. Okay, then we go down, and finally, right here, I put another couple of choke ties, basically tying off each individual inch worth of stuff. Now, the next thing I'm going to have to do is take all of this warp off of the warping board. I'm going to chain it and take it over to the back of the loom. But the tripod that you're standing on is in my way for doing that, so I'm going to move that just a second. Grab my scissors and snip the end off there. So we're going to take the first little bit off. I know the light's not good in this corner, but it's the best I can do. So there, I've got it. I'm going to back up away from here. You'll see me again in a minute. And I'm just going to do kind of a chain motion. There, now I'm back in the picture. You can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to go all the way over across the front of there. But there's the chain. Remember, this is 2 inches worth of warp threads, so 24 48 threads, if I've counted correctly. I'm going to chain up a little bit more. That's about enough. So I'm going to stick my fingers in through the cross. So there you go. I've got the cross there, and I've got the rest of it right there. Let's see if we can turn the camera just a little bit. There's the top of the loom. And I'm just going to lay this on top of the loom for a second. But I'm keeping my fingers in the cross. And I like to put an S hook into there. Okay, let's go around the back of the loom. Okay, so we'll come down, put the S there, put the other lease stick there, and we're set. Spread this out and stick it in my rattle. There you go, it's on the loom. Okay guys, you can see here, this is kind of, why am I doing this? Well, I like to, and it may be overkill, but I like to add or tie the warp onto the little metal rod that's the very back of where it's tying onto the back beam. I just feel it's more secure. Some people would say this is totally unnecessary. Okay, I believe that. But I like to do it anyways because I just feel it gives me a real secure position at the back of the loom. I'm always afraid that if I don't do this, when I'm winding on, something will slip and I'll get uneven warp thread tension. So I feel that by doing this, I am sure that I won't have a couple of warp threads slip and cause uneven tension in my warps. So yeah, this may be overkill, but I think it's worth it. And hey, it's my loom, it's my process, and I'm willing to take the extra time to do this. So the next step in my process is to lash that metal bar that I've just tied onto and lash that onto the wooden bar that is semi-permanently attached to the back beam. And I just do this with a piece of cord. It's a cheap piece of cord that I bought at Menards a couple of years ago, actually, I think. Anyways, it's just a straight lashing once around each of the metal bar and the wooden bar, and I go in between each of my 1-inch bouts of warp thread. And then once I've got all of them on, I tie it off at the end. I know some people have suggested using like a net needle or something like that. Number one, I don't have one of those, and number two, I'm quite content to just do it with my fingers. So this is that lashing on process, and I'm just about done with it here, but you can see what's going on. So enough of this, and you'll see me finish it up, I think, and tie it off. Well, now it's time to remove all those little ties that were holding the cross in place. They have served their purpose, and I can't wind on to the back beam with those holding in there. So they're between the lease sticks and they're coming off. And I'm just beginning to wind this onto the back beam. I'm not going to go very far because I still have a few ties to remove. So here's where those other ties that were holding the cross apart are being removed before I can finally finish doing the proper winding onto the back beam. All right, here we are in the winding onto the back beam process. You can see I've got paper on the back beam separating the layers, and I'm putting some sticks in there. The separating sticks, I've got two kinds. I've got the thin ones that came with the Loom 10 years ago, and I've also got some little bit thicker ones that are screen molding that I picked up at the local Menards. And I like them a little bit better. They're a little bit stronger, although they are a little bit thicker too, which gives them their strength. But you can see I put those in every once in a while, and I do use the paper, so it's double the effort at keeping the layers separate. You're standing with the camera in front of the loom and I'm in back of it, but you can see how I'm winding it on and it's pulling up. And I use the S-hooks here to provide me just a little bit of tension as it's winding on. I like that extra tension that they give, and it's pretty even tension when it's done this way. And here is how the winding onto the back beam looks. From the back you can see me turning the handle and winding onto the back beam. So this video has gotten pretty long already. We're about 17 minutes in. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Maybe even subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll catch you the next time around on YouTube when I get to doing a little bit more work on this project. Until then, bye-bye.